bookstores are normal or inferior goods. You guys are all over the map. There's no reasonable assumption that anybody can make, and therefore the answer to that one was we need more information. All right, going on. Next one. Thinking about demand, I'm going to skip that one and move to this one because I'm watching the time. Suppose that the monthly data plan was free. Suppose the monthly data plan was free. So you got to sign a 2-year contract, but the 2-year contract is like zero, nothing per month. I wish, right? Suppose the monthly data plan was free. Now what's the maximum price you'd be willing to pay for that iPhone 6? $300, $199, $150, or not even if it's free? 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. All right, what do we get this time? 59% would pay $300 or more. That number, remember, initially had been 19%. Another 27%. Why don't you guys give me numbers I can add real quick? Which is 86% total. Is that right? Would pay $199. That number initially was 67%. Another 9% for a total of 95. Is that right? Would pay $100. That number initially had been 85%. And another 3% would pay 50 for a total of 98%. That number initially was 92. Is this about complements or substitutes? Is that complements or substitutes? Complements, that's right. So the data plan and the phone, those are complements. Complements are things that are used together. So when the price of a complement goes down, that affects the entire demand curve for the original good. So in this case, the decrease in the price of the complement, the data plan, leads to an increase in the demand for the good, which is to say the phone. Price on the vertical, quantity on the horizontal, downward sloping demand curve, D1. At every possible price of iPhones, there's an increased quantity demanded of the iPhone as a result of the decrease in the price of the data plan. The data plan's cheaper, therefore at every possible price of the phone itself, there's an increase in the quantity demanded. Your entire demand curve shifts to the right, draw D2 to the right of D1. We could look at substitutes. What's a substitute for the iPhone 6? Samsung Galaxy. So suppose that the price of the Samsung Galaxy increased. Suppose the price of the Samsung Galaxy jumped up, and that was like $600 for each Samsung Galaxy. That is going to have the effect of moving a whole lot of people away from Samsung over to iPhone. It's going to increase the demand for the iPhone. So again, price on the vertical, quantity on the horizontal, initial downward sloping demand curve, D1. At every possible price of the iPhone, there'll be a greater quantity demanded of iPhones due to the higher price of the Samsung Galaxy. The entire demand curve shifts to the right, draw second demand curve, D2, to the right of your first demand curve, D1. We can think also about preferences. Maybe you're one of those like 3% or whoever it was of folks here who doesn't want to buy an iPhone no matter how much it costs because you think, who wants an iPhone? They're terrible products. But suppose that every one of your friends got one of these things and they let you play with it. That's unusual. I don't know when everybody lets anybody else touch their phone, but there you go. Let you play with it and you become completely convinced this is a fabulous product and you want one. That's a change in preferences. Not everybody in the room has a change in preferences. Some people have a change in preferences. Some people already love this thing. We're willing to pay $1,000 to be first in line. But what matters is not the individual. Notice that I wasn't asking anybody. I didn't go back to Patrick and ask him, what's your answer to any of these questions? We're not looking at individual demand. Some of you may never have changed your answer to the clicker questions that I asked. Doesn't matter. For the market as a whole, we're seeing these movements in demand. So suppose that there is something that makes everybody, or at least some people, shift their preferences toward the good. They're like, woo, I want me one of those iPhones. What's that going to do? It's going to take an increased demand. The entire demand curve is going to shift to the right. All right, so let's try a summary question. Ready? Which one of the following does not, see the word not, does not cause the demand curve for Cal sweatshirts to shift? Which one of these things doesn't make the demand curve for Cal sweatshirts shift? A, Cal employees' pay is decreased by 10%, the lovely experience we all had in 2009. B, student tuition fees are increased. C, local stores offer a 20% discount on Cal sweatshirts. D, Californians' love for all things Berkeley rises. Or E, all of these events cause a shift of demand. Which one of these things does not cause the demand curve to shift? A, B, C, D, or E? Now, if I had put the question in terms of those words on the ceteris paribus slide, you'd be feeling happier. Life doesn't work that way. 59% of people in the room have the right answer. 58%, 59%. Okay. Oh, that's not moving. Well, there you go. Now, 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Oh, that's the wrong button. Let's go back. That's the right button. Oh, good. It got bigger. 60%. That's actually not a half. That's sort of a, we'll make it that kind of a face. Wanted a higher number. The first one. Pay is decreased. What is that? That's a change in income. And a change in income, does that shift the demand curve or move us along? Shifts it. So that's not the right answer. B, student tuition fees are increased. What is that? Student tuition fees are a, you can think of them as a substitute or a complement. Yeah, right. Complement. Right? Leaves means that there's going to be less demand for Cal sweatshirts. So that's not the right answer. Local stores offer a 20% discount. So instead of costing $30, the price of the sweatshirt is $24. What's that a change in? Price. And when price changes, does that shift the demand curve or move us along the demand curve? Move us along. There you go. And then D, Californians love for all things Berkeley. What was that? A change in what? Preferences. Good job. All right. It's vitally important that you get a good handle on that difference between shifting and moving along. All right. Let's look at the supply side. On the supply side of the market, we're asking for a particular product, what quantity will be offered for sale at each of many prices. We can again distinguish between the individual firm supply, so how much would one particular firm wish to sell at each of various prices, and the market supply, which would be the sum of those answers. So what we do here is, with the clickers, come up with the market. We would find, of course, that we need to be precise about the market, with both the product characteristics and the time period, same as we were with demand. We need to make our assumptions explicit, that if we were asking sellers, how would you respond to a change in price, we need to be sure they understand that we're only changing the price, and we're holding constant all of the other relevant factors. We're holding constant input costs, technology, the prices of related products, and the number of sellers. Those, again, are called the ceteris paribus assumptions, all else constant assumptions. So when we look at how things respond to a change in price, we want to hold constant all of those other factors that can shift the supply curve. All right. Whoops, what page am I on? That one. I have to breathe. Okay, here's some that's why I have to breathe, because now I can't talk. I'm talking too fast. Clicker question. Suppose that you had received a free ticket for a 50-yard line seat on the alumni side of the stadium, so the cushy seats in the shade. Got it? You got a free 50-yard line ticket on the alumni side for the Cal Stanford game, for the big game. All right, somebody gave it to you for free. what price would you sell it for? What would you sell it for? More than $200 or you wouldn't sell it. So either of those options is A. B, you'd be willing to take $200 but nothing less. $100 is C, 50 is D, and 20 is E. What's the minimum price you'd be willing to take for that ticket? 50-yard line seat, cushy seats, no sun in your eyes, alumni section, no card tricks. 2 seconds, 1001, 1002. Well, that got everybody talking. If you need to leave early, you need to sit in the back so you're not disturbing everybody else. All right, so let's see what your answers are. We've got 33% of people in the room would not sell that ticket even at $200. We've got 26% would sell it at $200, 25% would sell it at $100, 11% at $50, and 5% at $20. All right. If the going price on the street for those tickets, resale, the scalping price, if the price is $50, what two numbers do I add together to figure out what percentage of people are going to sell it for $50? Go by the letters. So D is one of them. What's the other one? E. That's right. If you're willing to sell it for 20, are you willing to take 50? You betcha. Right? And so the total quantity supplied at a price of $50 is going to be the 5% of you who are willing to sell it for just 20, plus the 11% who are willing to sell it for 50. Total quantity supplied, 16% of the people in the room. The people who've been willing to sell it for 20, are they really happy? You betcha. Right? Because they were willing to sell it for 20 and they got 50 for it. They're like, woo! Sliver! On the way. All right. Suppose instead the price on the street is $100. Then we've got the 16% of people who are willing to accept 50, plus the 25% of people who are willing to accept 100, for a total quantity supplied of 41%. Suppose the price on the street is $200. We got 41 plus 26. Total quantity supplied. People in the room is 67%. 67% of you would be willing to resell that ticket if the price was $200. I gotta write these numbers down. Oh, not that bad, is it? 33, 26, 25, 11, and 5. 67, 41, 16, and 5. So we can take that information, we can graph it, and we get the supply curve. So we put price on the vertical, quantity on the horizontal. Let's mark off our prices. 100. This one only goes up to 200, right? So 50, 100, 150, 200, and our quantities go up to 100%. All right. So what's the information we got? Choose a pick color. We've got this. We had at a price of $20. That's 25. So find $20. Whoopsie, wrong place. Find $20 on your vertical axis. And at a price of $20, 5% of the folks in the market were willing to sell their ticket. Find at 5%, draw a dot. Go over from $20, up from 5%. At a price of $50, there's $50. The total quantity supplied was 16% of you. So find 16%, it's about there. Go up from 16, over from 50, draw a dot. It's a really gross color on my screen. Ooh, it's a gross color there too. Price of $100, we had quantity supplied of 41, so find 41 on your horizontal axis, find 100 on your vertical axis, draw a dot. At a price of $200, 67%, it's about there. We're willing to sell the ticket for $200, draw a dot. If we didn't have these clickers with only 5 options, I could ask the question in a different way, and I could ask about not just 20, 50, 100, and 200. I could ask every dollar in between those numbers and gather your answers, and then I would find that when I plotted those answers, it carved out a nice upward sloping curve. So let's just draw a line. If your line doesn't go through your dot, make your dot bigger. We label it S for supply. The supply curve slopes up. At a higher price, there's a higher quantity supplied. At a lower price, there's a lower quantity supplied. We say that price and quantity supplied are directly related. The increase in the price gives us an increase in quantity supplied. A decrease in price yields a decrease in quantity supplied. Again, it's important to distinguish between supply, which is the whole curve, and quantity supplied, which is any one quantity connected to any one price. Suppose that instead of that ticket being free, suppose that you had paid $100 for that ticket. Now, I don't know how the heck you found $100 for that ticket, but let's pretend. Suppose you had paid $100 for that ticket that was a 50-yard line, alumni side, cushy seat ticket for the big game. Dun, 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 dun. Now, what's the minimum price you'd sell it for? A, B, C, D, or E. Dun, 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 dun. Actually, we need the Stanford Jonah song. 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now what do we have? 39% said they wanted more than $200 or they wouldn't sell it at any price. Before that answer was 33. Another 37% wanted $200 before that answer was 26. Another 22% wanted $100 before that answer was 25. Another 2% were willing to sell it for $50 before that answer had been 11. And 1% of you, interestingly enough, were willing to sell it even for 20 before that answer had been 5. So the quantity supplied, let's put the totals here. The quantity supplied at $20 is 1%. The quantity supplied at $50 is that 1% who were willing to sell it for 20, plus the 2% for whom 50 is their minimum, or a total of 3%. Before that was 16. The quantity supplied at 100 is 3 plus 22. 25% of you are willing to sell that ticket at a price of $100. 25 plus 37. Oh man, really? On a 62%. 62% of you are willing to sell it at $200. Before that was 67%. What we're looking at here is the impact of a change in the costs of production. How much somebody pays for a ticket that they're going to scalp, that's their cost of production. That's their cost of production. So what happened? It went from 0 to 100. Their cost of production went way up. It's an increase in input costs. That increase in the cost of inputs means that at every possible price, look at the numbers, at every possible price, there's a lower quantity supplied. The increase in the input cost, at every possible price, there's a lower quantity supplied. 62, 25, 3, and 1. Those are smaller numbers than we had when you got that ticket for free. At every possible price, there's a lower quantity supplied. Draw yourself an initial supply curve, upward sloping, label it S1. If there's an increase in input costs, then at every possible price of the output, that is at every possible price you can resell that ticket for, there's a lower quantity supplied. The entire supply curve shifts to the left, supply curve S2. We call that a decrease in supply. The supply curve has decreased. When you shift your supply curves, shift them left or right. Always conceptualize it as a leftward or a rightward shift. Never think up and down. That thing is a decrease in supply. Did that second supply curve, was it up, above, or below? Is the second supply curve above or below the first supply curve? Above. A decrease in supply puts it above. Don't think up and down. Think left and right. A decrease in supply moves you to the left along the number line. It changes, it decreases the quantity. It shifts the curve to the left. An increase in supply would increase the quantity, shifting the curve to the right. We're moving along the quantity axis, shifting left and right. What are the things that shift the supply curve? Well, a change in the price is going to move us along an existing curve, and a change in any of those other ceteris paribus conditions is going to shift the entire curve. Changes in price move us along demand and supply curves. Changes in other relevant factors shift. So if the input cost, the technology, the prices of related products, or the number of sellers, if any of those things change, the entire supply curve will shift. Better technology? Can't think about how better, well, I guess StubHub is better technology than scalping on the street. But if there was an increase, an improvement in technology, that's something that increases supply, shifts the supply curve to the right. Prices of related products. There are two ways in which products can be related. One is substitutes in production. Substitutes in production mean with the exact same inputs, you can make one output or a different output. With the exact same ingredients, I can make brownies, which are cut with right angles, or I can make chocolate truffle cookies, which are circular. Those are two different outputs, brownies and chocolate truffle cookies, that I make with the exact same inputs. Suppose that for whatever reason, people in Berkeley decided that they really loved chocolate truffle cookies, but somehow they were like turning against brownies because they were too like old something. I don't know. They were like, something. But chocolate truffle cookies were like, ooh, that's cool. So the price of chocolate truffle cookies goes up. You're a baker. What do you want to sell? Chocolate truffle cookies or brownies? Chocolate truffle cookies. If the price of the substitute in production goes up, you're going to shift your production towards that thing that allows you to make more profit. The other, I have to show you this picture, is complements in production, which are byproducts. I like that picture. When we make milk, we do that with cows. What's the other thing that cows produce? Manure. Manure and milk are complements in production. If a dairy farmer can get more money for the manure, they're going to get more cows, which is going to produce more milk. Cows can do two things at once. You all have a great day. That's the end of biology for today. Go Bears.